Now, before you come to Robert Kennedy and military service, you go to Morgan State College, and
now in a university.
Yeah, now university, and now with the Earl G. Graves School of Business, celebrating its 25th anniversary. But you seem to me you're just working all the time. Not only are you going to school, not only are you active in sports, but you're cutting grass, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this. How different did that make you from your classmates?
I never even thought of it in terms. First of all, I went to school the first year with 617. No, that's not true at all. The cost of the first year in school was about 617. Maybe I got the numbers transposed. It might have been 671, but let me give me the benefit of that. Let's say it was only 617. And I had about $300 I had saved up. And so I went down to school knowing full well that I had to do something to get some money when I was there. And I knew at Christmas time I was going to come home and work in the post office. I already had that in place from a friend of my dad's who, because my father was alive, keep in mind the first 2.5 years that I was in school, at college that is. But I went down and there was a bulletin board in the men's dormitory, and any time a job was posted, in addition to the fact I was running in the track team, I didn't get any money athletically, because I have the distinction of being the slowest person ever to run a Morgan State's track team, and I dare anyone to challenge me about that. Now, of course, people remember things differently. As you're successful in life, the track coach remembers me almost being an Olympian. But that has to do, I think, with my success in business more clearly than my athletic success. But in any event, there was this bulletin board in the men's dormitory, and any time a job went up, I would just snatch the paper down, and if it said garden, I said, yeah, I can do that. In fact, I ended up having a gardening business on campus. If it said cleaning bathrooms, yeah, I could do that. A security guard, I could do that. Working undercover in department stores. In other words, watching to see who might be stealing something by being a shrill going into the situation. So in other words, people didn't know you were working in the store. Or watching from staying up all night watching from a third floor window, the boxes going back and forth, loading and unloading. And when you'd see 3 boxes come off the truck and 2 going in the door, you'd say, well, where'd that other box go? You'd look and there was another little panel truck sitting off on the side, and so some person that working for that department store was running a side business, or at least stealing. But that was the kind of thing that I did. There was nothing, cutting grass. They had a job where you walked around the campus with an idiot stick with a nail at the bottom and picking up paper. I just positioned myself in front of the girls' dome and had a great time all afternoon, just moving one piece of paper back over to the other side, knocking it down and moving it back over to the other side again. And I think in those days we were paid maybe 50 cents an hour. So I mean, and I remember having a job before I went away to college in Brooklyn, where I was paid 57 cents an hour. Right? And I tell my son, I remember telling my sons the story when they were just starting college, and oh, Dad's got to be kidding, how could somebody work for 57 cents an hour? Not only did I work at 57 cents an hour, but when I got home, again, my dad, and this is when I was saving to go away to school, my dad would then take out what he thought was a fair portion of money to go to the house, so that you learn responsibility. You had to give back something to the family. And maybe he was establishing that in case he was saying in his mind, well, when he got old enough, he never lived for that I would take care of them. Well, we obviously took care of my mother and did that. But 50 years later, and it was almost that long, they invited me back to the Brooklyn Public Library, and not knowing about I had worked there, but not knowing the history of really what I had done. But clearly a history of what I'd accomplished in my, and if you will, in my latter life. To be honored as one of 3 people. Lena Horne was, I think it was 4. Lena Horne, Pete Hamill, the writer, myself, and then the Burns family person who wrote, did the history of baseball and also did the history of the Civil War. Ken Burns. So we all had our original, planted our feet in Brooklyn in terms of families. And so I regaled that I made 57 cents a night. One of the librarians hollered from the back, "It's not much better now." But it was still fun to look back at it, and of course to receive that recognition. I think I've been very fortunate in that area.